Mr. Stash? What brings you in today?
Well, you see, Doc, it all started when I discovered a man called Zeb Wells.
Hey, welcome back to the Stash. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the month again when we take a look at the latest release of the worst Spider-Man series ever created. You know, after reading Ultimate Spider-Man and even making a whole video about how good that series is, returning to this one just filled me with so much pain. For a brief moment, it felt like Spider-Man comics were back for good, but then I remembered Zeb Wells is still in charge of ASM and I was quickly brought back to reality. We are finally nearing the end of this stupid Spider-Goblin story, as well as Zeb Wells' time on the book in general, but unfortunately for us, we're still in the present, which means we still have to suffer through new comics that just ruin Spidey and everyone around him. But join us today as we take a look at the latest installment of this series with the Amazing Spider-Man issue 52. But before we get into the story, I just wanted to quickly let you all know that we are trying to reach 2,500 subscribers before the end of July, and with your help, I know we can do it. So if you like Spider-Man or even just comic content in general, feel free to stick around and maybe hit that subscribe button. Also, I do have an Instagram and an X, or Twitter, whichever you prefer, account down below in the description in case you're interested. Anyway, with all that being said, let's get straight back into the video. So just in case you've missed the previous uploads, like if there is a playlist, I'll go over a quick recap. In an attempt to save his enemy-turned-friend Norman Osborn, Spider-Man took the Green Goblin's disembodied sins into himself. Norman, with the help of KRAVEN the Hunter, removed the sins from Peter and secretly took them back to save him. However, while possessed, Sinful Peter rewrote part of his mind with a trigger phrase to revert him into his evil form again. The Green Goblin uttered the phrase, and Peter's now the Spider-Goblin, an agent of pure chaos. Spider-Goblin attacks the Sinister Six at their base, beating them more savagely than Spider-Man ever has. But there's only room for one chaotic Spider-Man in New York, and CHASM has arrived to defend his title. Meanwhile, former Oscorp intern Kamala Khan has realized that something is off with Norman Osborn, meaning it's time for Miss Marvel to spring into action. Also, the living brain has transformed itself into the walking brain and is working to put an end to the Spider-Goblin and save Peter Parker. But is there any force on Earth that can stop a crazed Spider-Man with no limits? Well, we're about to find out. So our story begins right where we ended last time, with KRAVEN observing Peter and Ben ready to battle and makes this bold claim that one of them is going to die today, which we just all know is bullshit. Like, seriously, Peter didn't kill Paul. You know, when he was first in the Goblin mode, so what would make him kill Ben here? Plus, it's not like Ben's gonna kill the star of the book either, even if you can call Peter the star of the book at this point. We switch scenes to see Norman Osborn is handing over parts of Oscorp to Peter and putting the companies and branches under his name. Something catches his eye, however. On the security footage, he notices a certain Kamala Khan waiting at the front desk. Norman, filled with rage, rings the receptionist and yells at her for not telling him that she was there, even though he didn't want to be disturbed. This was the final piece of evidence Kamala needed to deduce that the Green Goblin is back. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I am sick and tired of Kamala being shoehorned into this book. Marvel has a serious problem of just shoving her into as many things as possible, even though no one asked for her to even be there. And what makes it worse is that I remember when crossovers in Spider-Man comics used to be cool, like when they had Daredevil, the Punisher, Moon Knight, Nova, even Nighthawk. But now it's just so lame. Even her appearance in the last issue was just it was so poorly written. It was unbelievably bad. She just happened to call Norman Osborn at the perfect time, for no reason, mind you, and then make him fall for this weird, extravagant lie just to gain suspicion over his mental well-being. Zeb Wells is just a pathetic writer, and I, for one, just can't wait for him to leave. We need someone with, like, actual talent to write the book. I wish Hickman can do it, but he's going to be busy with USM instead of doing this one, which is really sad. We quickly check back in on Pete and Ben, and nothing's really changed. The two of them are still going at it, and Peter's gone even more crazier with how wild he's fighting, and even by the things he's saying. But to be honest, a lot of this does just feel like a poor man's symbiote story, and in many ways it's on par with how Insomniac did that story.
Peter Parker. Brilliant but lazy.
Shut the fuck.
God, Spider-Man 2 sucked. Anyway, to make things worse, we go all the way to New Jersey to see that Kamala is now going to work with an Oscorp employee, Dr. Connors, J. Jonah Jameson, and the Walking Brain to help save Spider-Man. This meetup is in relation to the big plan Pete, with the help of the Walking Brain, and Kamala made in case the Green Goblin ever came back. But they have one small problem though. The plan involves Spider-Man, and he's currently off as Goblin Man, so the Walking Brain found a replacement. It's none other than the wall-walking Wreck Rap. Oh, for fuck! it, I'm gonna say the line, I don't care if it's overused. Zeb Wells has somehow managed to hit a new low. He loves rec rap more than Spider-Man. What did we do to deserve this? Like, when Peter made the deal with Mephisto, did it also include all this shit? Because seriously, what the fuck is Marvel doing? You know, if it wasn't bad enough with Dan Gotti's in Doc Ock slot putting Otto in literally every single story he worked on, who would have thought the next major writer would do the same thing but with a borderline brain-dead creation he's so proud of? Rec Rap is like Batmite, but instead of being an imp, he's the result of Peter and Spider incest. I'm sick of this shit.
It's time to go!
Anyway, Ben and Goblin Mode 3000 continue their fight. It seems like Goblin Man is about to kill old Slim Shady until psychoreactive goo goes all over Spider-Goblin. And also, before we continue, this piece of dialogue just feels like Zeb talking and not Spider-Man. He says, "I've buried Spider-Man in so much hate and fear that no one can find him." You know, isn't that literally what the fuck this hack has been doing for the past however many months or years he's been on this title? No one can find Spider-Man anymore in ASM because he hasn't been written properly in fucking forever. And this divorcee cuck certainly isn't helping that case. I wonder why Vanessa in Deadpool 3 has a new boyfriend. This goo manages to revert the old gobster back into his normal wimpy Peter Parker self, and his costume is just magically back too, you know? Okay, nice. Did no one think this through? How does this even work? Was the stupid goblin suit even real? Wouldn't his mask be ripped and still be f***ing purple and black? Did anyone think this through at all?
Ain't this fucking shit!
Peter says thanks to Ben and leaves. He just leaves. I mean, it would have been cool if they just had a bit more time, maybe had a proper talk and focus on the fact Ben did something heroic and saved Peter. But, you know, what can you expect? You want actual good stories with character building and a form of dialogue? Go read Ultimate Spider-Man, not this slop for bottom feeders. It's sort of sad that all we did get was just Ben saying, I thought that would have killed them, as a lame attempt at a joke. But even like on the way there, Peter gets a headache thing from Ultimate Spider-Man the game, if you remember that. But instead of, you know, Venom being around, it's because his mind is still fighting for full control. So Ben thought it would have killed him, but in fact it didn't. And then it didn't even give him full control over his mind. So what did it actually do? Anyway, Zeb Wells doesn't care, so why should I? This book ends with a cool swinging pose and, well, that's it. Finally. What a shit story. I'm at my breaking point. I'm so glad this moron is finally leaving the book. I honestly don't even know where to start with this one. This entire issue, entire arc even, is just one big convoluted mess. It's like Zeb is trying to quickly stuff every single loose end he has into one big story, also he can focus on his last arc with Tombstone. Reading this book, it didn't fill me with an ounce of joy. It felt like an honest drag to get through, and I rolled my eyes with each page I read and thought to myself, "Oh, brother, this guy stinks!" It kind of feels like he got fired by Marvel, and since he's leaving sooner than he thought, he's just rushing to finish quite literally anything and everything in his volume at once. Also, I think what hurts the most besides the constant character assassinations is that if you take away his Spider-Man costume and just, I don't know, gave him a generic MCU suit, no one would actually know it's meant to be a Spidey story. In a way, it makes Zeb Wells' writing so unique because he manages to completely disassociate his stories from what any Spider-Man comic should have. He's that bad of a writer that it just feels like he's vomiting out a bunch of random shitty and already used ideas onto a storyboard and then slaps a coat of Spider-Man paint over the top of it. You know, when the new writer comes in, where do we seriously go from here? I'm thinking we might as well just reboot the entire thing because the damage from Slott and Wells is just too much at this point. It feels like there's so much extra weight towards the ASM name now. Even when I think about The Amazing Spider-Man, I genuinely feel my mind feel heavy. There's just been so much shit that a reboot is just in need. Plus, it would give the writer a bit more necessary freedom because who would actually even want to take over from where Zeb, my wife, left me now I ruin every character I write Wells left us? I mean, most writers refuse to even work for ASM because of how bad the editorial is, but even by some chance they'd still consider it, I feel like this mess left behind would just deter them away even more. Man, I just realized that this was his attempt at a Ben Reilly redemption. We didn't even get to focus on that moment too. My god, you'd never guess his job as being an author.
What's the point?
Wait a second. The cover for the next 2 issues has him wearing the Spider-Goblin suit. No, I can't. I can't take it anymore. I can't. Zeb Wells, go Anyway, that is it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because here, any support means so much. I'd love to hear what you thought of this issue down below in the comment section. We can start a conversation. Also, be sure to tune in next time. Same web time, same web channel. Thank you guys again for watching, and see you in the next one.